Okay, we'll get ready to get started with Wit and Wisdom. So today we're going to see how the children in the book, how they experience the wind. And remember when we first started talking about feel the wind, we learned that you can feel the wind and experience the wind through your different senses, right? So we can see the wind, we can hear the wind, and we can feel the wind. So we're going to look at a couple pages of our book, and we are going to see how these children in that part of the book experience the wind. We're going to think about what they hear, we're going to think about what they see, and we're going to think about what they feel. So as we go through and we do this, I want you to think of those words that describe what the well, it's not a character, but what that person on that page is feeling. What might the children feel through their senses? So here's the very first page, okay? So I want you to take a look, and while I read, I want you to think, what are they experiencing with their senses through the wind, okay? You can hear the wind too. When wind blows through cracks in your house, it can sound like someone whistling. If the wind blows very hard, it can sound like the wind is an animal howling. So I want you to think right now, how might this kid on this page be experiencing the wind? What might he hear? What might he see? And what might he feel due to the wind? So let's look. Well, I remember they said in the text that he could hear if the wind was blowing through the cracks in your house, it might sound like what? Howling. So an animal howling, so he could hear howling. What else could it sound like? What else might he hear? Whistling. So he's experiencing the wind through his hearing whistling and hearing howling. So let's think about, what might he be seeing? What might he experience the wind through his sight? Well, I see his eyes, and his eyes seem to be directed over here toward the drapes or the curtains, and I'm thinking he's seeing fluttering, like the curtains fluttering or flapping, either one of those, fluttering or flapping. Now, what might he feel? What might he feel? Well, I can see that his blanket is pulled way up to his neck. So I see what looks like the wind coming through the open window. So maybe he feels cold. He feels the cold air and he's shivering. So he heard the wind through howling and through whistling. He sees the wind through fluttering and flapping. And he also feels the wind because of the coldness, right? Okay, now I've got another page that I want you to see how she might be experiencing the wind differently than the other character, okay? You're going to look while I read, and I want you to think, how might this girl be experiencing the wind through hearing it and seeing it and feeling it? In some parts of the world, people have given special names to the wind that blows there. A Chinook is a wind that blows from the Rocky Mountains of the United States. A Chinook is so warm that in the winter it can melt deep snow in just a few hours. So what might this girl be experiencing? How can she experience the wind through hearing and through seeing and through feeling? Well, it didn't really talk about what she heard, but look at where her eyes are. Look at where her eyes are. What is she seeing? Melting. She's seeing the snow melt, right? So what might she be feeling? What might she be feeling? How could she feel the wind? Well, I see her sleeves are pushed up, and I know if it's crazy snowing, it's usually cold outside, right? So maybe she feels warmth, where the other kid in the picture felt cold because his blanket was up to his neck. She's pushing her sleeves up, doesn't have a hat or gloves on, so she might feel warm, right? So all of these things are ways that these people, as well as us, can experience the wind through our senses. Because remember, we said wind isn't actually something that you can see. You have to see the effects of the wind, like the snow melting or the curtains flapping or the leaves falling off of the tree. You have to hear it, the howling or the whistling. You have to feel it, the breeze against your skin or blowing your hair, right? Those are all ways that you can experience wind. So what I want you to do is today, I want you to see if you can experience the wind. I want you to go outside. I want you to go outside and see if you can experience the wind through seeing, through hearing, or feeling. Okay? And then I want you to talk to somebody about that. I want you to see how you might feel the wind. How are you going to experience the wind through your senses?